When a modern airplane vanishes, it shouldn't stay lost for long. But more than 10 years later, Flight MH370 remains missing, and the silence has only fed darker questions about what really happened after its signal went dark. Subscribe to Dead Quiet for stories that keep these shadows alive. And if you're here, hit like now so more people see what the ocean is still hiding. On March 8, 2014, Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370 took off from Kuala Lumpur, bound for Beijing. It was a routine red-eye flight, a route flown daily. On board were 227 passengers and 12 crew members. Families said goodbye at the terminal, expecting text messages and selfies when the plane landed 6 hours later. But about 40 minutes after takeoff, MH370's transponder stopped responding. The plane turned sharply off course. It flew back across the Malay Peninsula, then headed out over the vast Indian Ocean. For 7 hours, it kept sending faint handshake pings to a satellite, showing it was still moving, but no one knows exactly who was in control. To this day, only a few pieces of wreckage have washed ashore. The main fuselage, the black boxes, the full story, still missing. Officially, investigators believe the plane ran out of fuel and crashed in the southern Indian Ocean. But with no definitive crash site, the story remains open. And when an answer is missing, theories fill the void. These are 5 of the most persistent and unsettling possibilities about what might have happened after MH370 disappeared. 1. The secret landing, hidden but never found. One of the oldest and most persistent theories is that MH370 didn't crash immediately, but landed safely, somewhere far from where anyone was looking. This idea comes from the strange radar data after the transponder cut out. Military radars in Malaysia and Thailand picked up the plane making a sweeping U-turn back over the peninsula, then flying along airspace boundaries, almost as if someone knew exactly how to avoid detection. After that, satellite handshakes showed the plane continued on a straight path for hours. It could have flown nearly anywhere within that arc, an area so huge it once stretched from Kazakhstan to the southern Indian Ocean. Some believe the plane landed at a secret airstrip. One popular suspect is Diego Garcia, a remote U.S. military base in the Indian Ocean with a long runway capable of handling large jets. Officials have always denied any connection. There's no evidence MH370 was ever near the island, but that hasn't stopped speculation. Supporters of the landing theory point to possible motives: a rogue pilot, a hijacking gone wrong, or a secret operation to deliver or intercept something valuable on board. They believe the passengers may have survived the landing, only to disappear in silence. There's no hard proof, but in the absence of wreckage, this version refuses to die. For some families, the idea that loved ones may have survived even for a while feels less cruel than imagining an instant crash. For others, it's just one more unanswered question, one the ocean will not explain. The second possibility is more grounded, but no less haunting. In this version, MH370 did not land on some hidden runway. Instead, it flew until its fuel ran dry and ditched somewhere in the vast empty ocean. What makes this theory chilling is how easily the Indian Ocean can swallow something so large. Some parts plunge more than 7,000 meters, deeper than Mount Everest is tall. Under that kind of pressure, wreckage could settle gently into trenches and canyons that no human or drone can fully search. Investigators believe the plane probably ran out of fuel, then glided on autopilot until a final spiral into the sea. But a controlled ditching, guided by a pilot to soften impact, might have kept the fuselage mostly intact. If that happened, the wreckage could lie on the ocean floor, sealed away in cold and darkness. In this version, the passengers likely died on impact or soon after. It's a grim but straightforward scenario. Still, it explains why, despite years of multi-million-dollar searches using cutting-edge sonar, only a handful of fragments have surfaced. A wing flaperon on Reunion Island, a few interior panels scattered across Africa's eastern shores. The deep ocean holds its secrets well. And if MH370 rests in one piece on the abyssal plain, it may stay hidden for decades. A ghost ship beneath the waves, untouched, its final story frozen at the bottom of the world. If you're drawn to these true mysteries, subscribe now. We share stories that most people don't dare to keep alive. The third possibility takes the controlled ditching idea further and makes it even harder to accept. What if the plane came down on the water gently enough that at least some passengers survived the crash? Commercial jets are not designed to land on open water, but in rare cases, pilots have done it, like the famous Miracle on the Hudson, when Captain Sullenberger landed an Airbus in the Hudson River and everyone survived. If MH370 ditched in calm seas, its possible parts of the cabin remained intact long enough for some people to get out, using life jackets or emergency rafts. In the chaos, a few might have escaped the sinking fuselage, clinging to wreckage under the stars in the middle of nowhere. But the Indian Ocean is one of the harshest environments on Earth. Currents can sweep life rafts hundreds of miles. Heat, storms, dehydration, all could finish what the crash didn't. And if survivors drifted beyond the narrow search grid in the first days, no satellite or rescue plane would ever spot them. Some search crews did look for signs of life rafts early on. Nothing turned up. But families hold on to this scenario. Not because it's likely, but because it keeps their loved ones human for a little longer. In this version, they didn't just vanish. They tried to come home. The military mistake. Shot down by accident. Among the more controversial explanations is the idea that Flight MH370 was shot down by mistake, and that governments covered it up to avoid a diplomatic disaster. Proponents point to other tragedies in aviation history. In 1983, a Korean Airlines flight was shot down by a Soviet fighter jet after straying into restricted airspace, killing 269 people. In 1988, a U.S. Navy cruiser accidentally shot down an Iranian passenger jet, killing 290. Could something similar have happened to MH370? Some believe the plane flew into restricted airspace, perhaps near the Andaman Islands or other sensitive zones, and was mistaken for a threat. A missile or fighter jet brought it down, but the truth was buried to prevent political fallout. Supporters of this theory point to odd gaps in radar data, suspicious military exercises in the region, and missing records. Some think wreckage was secretly recovered and hidden to erase evidence. No investigation has ever supported this theory with credible proof. Multiple countries involved have strongly denied it. But for those who can't accept an unsolved mystery, the idea that someone knows the truth and chose to bury it remains a powerful temptation. 5. The Phantom Flight. Lost but never gone. The last theory is not official or rational, but it is real in the minds of many who follow this story late at night. Some pilots and sailors have told stories of strange echoes on radar screens in the Indian Ocean, unexplained signals that look like a large aircraft flying where none should be. Other tales claim that faint radio signals, too weak to trace, repeat the same distress codes MH370 might have sent. There's no scientific basis for these stories. Experts say radar ghosts happen for mundane reasons: weather patterns, echoes bouncing off waves, glitches in old equipment. But the idea of a phantom flight still drifts through conspiracy sites and late-night forums. It says the plane never fully died, that somewhere, somehow, it keeps moving, caught between the known and the unknowable. A haunting reminder that when something disappears without answers, it never really leaves us. Flight MH370 remains one of the world's greatest unsolved aviation mysteries. Its passengers and crew were real people, families, friends, children, each with stories that were cut off mid-flight. More than a decade later, their loved ones still search for the truth, hoping the ocean will finally speak. Until then, these theories, some plausible, some unlikely, some unsettling, fill the silence left behind. If you want more true stories that refuse to be buried, like this video and subscribe to Dead Quiet. We share the unsettling, the unresolved, and the secrets that won't stay hidden forever.
Dead Quiet.
New stories every week. Subscribe if you're still here.